everybody, so today I have a couple of mod updates. One is going to be the Extended Factories pack got updated with a couple different things, little tweaks to them. So a little bit of a warning on that. If you have any wheat flour in there, in anything, you might want to get that out and sell it because I remove wheat flour as a output product. So you're going to want to definitely get rid of that before you do the update. And then I just made some minor changes to the carpentry factory, and then I made some changes to the seed and Fert Masters as well. So let's kind of go over what I did and why I did it. So over here at the grain mill and the bakery here. So what I ended up doing, and I noticed that this was going to kind of be a little bit of a problem. I noticed when I did the soup factory that it had flour in it, and I had really had no way to make the flour with my extended productions here. So, and then I happened to notice what Mr. Billy did. So what I did was I actually took out wheat flour and made it so that wheat just makes wheat itself will just make regular flour. So if you look in here now, you see regular flours in here, which is a base game product, and then wheat will make that and then make that. So in turn, by removing the wheat flour, I also removed it from the bakery. So now over at the bakery, you're gonna have just flour making the wheat bread. Well, where is the trigger here for that? Oh, right up there. So again, so you'll notice that now you have the flour and yeast making wheat bread, but then so that way then you can make flour for cakes and whatnot, and that's not kind of a redundant thing. So I did up the capacity of that. So again, what you want to do is make sure that you have all the wheat flour removed. On your first login for this, you're probably going to get an error about the wheat flour not existing, which is fine. Just when you hit save and you reload, it'll be fine. The error will be gone. I mean, I wouldn't worry about it at all because again, first time it's just going to be looking for it, and since it won't be there, you'll want to make sure that you get all that wheat flour out and sold, most likely, because again, I removed it completely from the extended production pack, so it's not even existing as a fill type anymore. So definitely want to get rid of it before you do the update for this. So that was the wheat flour update for that, and again, the reason why I did it mainly because we need flour for the soup factory, and then again with Billy doing it as well, it kind of just made sense. So I got rid of the wheat flour part. All right, so that is that. And then the other change that I made was over at the carpentry extended. There were actually two minor, well, kind of minor things with that. So carpentry extended is right here. Let's go here, and then here's the carpentry extended. Okay, so the two things that I did here have to relate to the outputs themselves of this. So I finally put this down in my own save game, so I was able to, thoroughly test it and see what was working and whatnot. So one of the things that I did was the toys palette here. The palette itself was not showing, it was just like the box, so it was a collision issue. So I reset the collisions on this palette itself here, the bottom part of it, and then obviously that made it so that this is now in the air as opposed to sitting, this box part on the ground. So I did that. And then the second thing I did was I actually fixed the Giants problem. So Giants had they had two rows of these, like you can see here, these two rows of spawning, but the spawn point was actually turned sideways. It was turned this way, so you would get like two pallets spawning here, and the rest of them were going this way, aka trying to spawn in the building and then out. Obviously that is not right, and this was in the Giants. This is a Giants bug. They actually had this in their default files because I was linking the i3D file for this building to the default one. So it's in their default, in the base game as messed up. So what I did was I just pulled it out of the base game and linked it to my own in the extended factories pack, and then that way I pulled the i3D out so that way it links there, and that way it'll spawn correctly with it again going this way as opposed to like being diagonal and going that way. So hopefully one day Giants will fix it, but it doesn't really matter, and this doesn't matter at all as far as your save games because it's just going to pull, the XML is still the same, it's just pulling it from the i3D from a different spot, which is totally fine. It's not going to make, be an issue at all. So that is the two extended factory updates that I did with that, with the the wheat flour, and then this stuff with this building here. And then the last thing that I did over here was at the Seed Master. Well, actually, it's at the Fert Master. So what I did was I have this, and this is why I did it. I like to kind of, I feel like there's a reason why I have been doing some of this stuff, obviously. So I have this fermenting silo from Stevie right here, and this is what I've been using to turn my either alfalfa. I did add alfalfa to that. Either my grass silage or my alfalfa into silage. So what I did here is he has these set up to produce digestate as a byproduct. So you can see you'll have 500, alfalfa, for instance. Well, in his case, it's 500 grass and 500, so that will make 500 silage and then 100 digestate. So it makes digestate as a byproduct. It kind of makes sense, I think, because the BGA it does that too. So I've had all this digestate, and I really don't know what to do with it. I've been turning it. I've been turning a lot of it into liquid fertilizer. So I have tons of liquid fertilizer. And the other thing that I wanted to do was I really needed some more solid fertilizer. So what I did with the Seed Master was, and again, I think this is, you could do this. I mean, why not? So I'm like, we need something to turn the liquid fertilizer into a solid if we wanted to. So what I did was I added straw to this. So there's another production line on here, and it's liquid to solid fertilizer production. So basically what it does is, and I wasn't quite sure if Giants made the ability that you could do this or not, but what I did was I actually made it so that liquid fertilizer is not only it's an out product, it's also an in product, and you don't need to move it in or out. It shows up here. So as soon as it shows up as an out product, it'll show up as an in product. You'll notice that those are the same. So what I did for that was on this line, I made it so, and I also added straw to it. So basically what I did was I made it so that if you have 100 liquid fertilizer and then 100 straw, that'll make 100 solid fertilizer. So basically it's basically turning the liquid fertilizer with the giving it a solid binding point with straw, like a solid, and then that making it the solid fertilizer. I think that works as opposed to, I know that a lot of people like to go crazy with the straw and making fertilizer, which I guess it kind of could a little bit, but I feel like people kind of go crazy with that. So that's why I made it so that, again, the liquid fertilizer can turn into, with the straw, can turn into solid fertilizer. And that's going to solve my problem, my personal problem anyway, of having all this digestate over here that I have 2 fermenters now, that I, have so much liquid fertilizer and I don't have any solid, especially when I bought the new John Deere custom modding spreaders and using solid fertilizer. I needed that. So that's what I did here for that. So that is also going to be an update here down in the description below. Again, you don't need to do this. You could, have it turn, you could have that production line turned off. And again, you want to kind of be careful because if you do have it on, it might, if you have too much, it might suck up your liquid fertilizer too much. So you want to make sure you definitely, if you need that, maybe you don't want to have that turned on, or kind of keep an eye on it so that way it doesn't do that. So yeah, so those are the updates for this. And why I did it. Again, links for the extended factories are down below in the description, and also links for this Fert Master are down below, and the Seed Master down below in the description. And I think that'll do it for today. So thank you everybody for watching, and have a good one.